I didn't know what to expect out of Terror on the Prairie, but I knew it was going to be incredibly important for what we are doing going forward in the entertainment industry. From the very moment that the Daily Wire announced they had hired Gina Carano, after she had been canceled, after she had been fired by Lucasfilm and by Disney over her politics, everyone knew that the first thing they did together, there would be a lot of eyes on. And I'm happy to say that I really enjoyed this movie. At the same time, I do think there's some people that are going to have some criticisms of this. I don't think it's a movie for everybody. This is going to be much more dark and gruesome and brutal than I think a lot of people were expecting from a Daily Wire movie. But in my mind, with what they were doing, what they were going out to do, I think they accomplished that. And of course, full disclosure, I was there at the premiere in Nashville for the Daily Wire red carpet event, the premiere of Terror on the Prairie. Gina and Daily Wire asked myself and a bunch of other members of Geeks and Gamers to come out there, and we were more than happy to. With that being said, and I told this actually to Gina herself, I said, I really hope that it's good. I really hope it doesn't suck, because I have to be honest with the audience. You know, we have to be honest with you guys, whatever it may be, regardless if it's made by people that we like or a company that we might like or has shared values potentially to what we have. That doesn't mean we can just say something's incredible, something's a 10 out of 10, something's amazing, simply because it's made from people that we respect. What Daily Wire is doing, I think, is really important in the entertainment industry to give so many people that aren't part of this echo chamber, or maybe even if their values or mindset does align with a lot of what Hollywood believes, they don't think that others should be excluded because of their beliefs. So what they're doing in the next several years, I think we're going to look back and think that this was the beginning of that and how important this movie was. When it comes to the movie itself, I did like it. Of course, Gina Carano was the star of this movie, another Daily Wire movie with a strong female character who's not a Mary Sue, who's not perfect at everything. And in fact, they go out of their way to show you that, yeah, she's not necessarily good at everything, which I think is very important for this movie. And I thought Gina was really good in this. Nick Searcy, in my mind, I think that he gave like the performance of this movie. Now, he had a lot of dialogue, and I think, you know, as someone who's done so much in the entertainment industry, I think they probably relied pretty heavily on Nick Searcy during this movie to be able to do that, to be able to be the focal point of so much and to go on monologues, to draw the audience into what was going on. He was great. But the story itself is simple. It's a story of a family that's trying to make it out there in the wild, you know, in the frontier, and it's not necessarily going super great. You know, they are struggling. They're having problems with their family right now, but something happens that makes them forget about all that. Something happens that makes just living is the most important thing, the next thing that they need to focus on doing. And like I said, there was some pretty brutal violence in this that I think was necessary, not because, oh, look at gore, oh, look, that's so brutal, look at all the blood. It's because this is reality. This was the reality that they wanted to show, life on the frontier. And to that point, a lot of this movie, I think there's going to be people that have a problem with it because it's so slow, because it's so monotonous at times, because there's not even a score. You know, there's almost no music in this movie. It's kind of meant to show you how monotonous and terrible, in a lot of ways, life was on the frontier for a lot of people. So though I don't think it's going to be for everyone, I think some people are going to have big problems with that. I think that that's what they were going for, and I think it was accomplished pretty well. Now, I will say there were times in this movie where, whether it was plot, I was like, well, I really think they could have just done that. That would have made more sense for her to do at that moment. For instance, there's a part where I feel like Gina's character could have shot them, or at least shot at them, even if she didn't hit them, in a certain scene where I feel like she would have done it earlier in the movie or later, but specifically for that scene, they didn't want her to do that. That kind of stuck out for me, little things like that. And although I did like how they established how kind of dull and monotonous life is, like what they're trying to set up, I do think that maybe they went a little bit too overboard. They could have probably pared that back. They probably could have cut like 10, 15 minutes off of the movie, and I think it would have felt a little bit less like it dragged. If you are someone that's going into this movie expecting a $200 million budget, special effects, a Marvel movie, like whatever, you're probably going to be disappointed, and you really shouldn't have that expectation going in. You know, this is a movie that is very simplistic. that is all practical effects, that is a character-driven story that's supposed to really ground you in the reality of what life would have been back then. It's not trying to preach to you at all. There is an element of North-South, post-Civil War era, but I think they do a good job of not preaching to you about anything. They make the villains, you kind of understand at least where the villain's coming from, but you completely despise what they are doing. You do not agree with what they're doing. It's not like a sympathetic villain type of thing. I do think that over the next several years, the more stuff they do together like this, I do think it's going to get better and better. One thing I think Daily Wire very much understands is that they need to stay within their bounds of what they're capable of at any moment. They know they can't do this massive action adventure, high budget, science fiction, fantasy, whatever it is. Right? So they're taking on scripts, they're using stories that make sense for what they can do and make sure that they execute that to the best that they can. To me, this movie is a solid 6. I don't know if once I watch it again, if I'm going to feel better about it, if I'm going to feel worse about it. But from that moment, staying as detached as I can from the people that are making this movie, because again, that's what I have to do. A 6 is going to be my score for Terror on the Prairie. This is not a children's movie, right? Don't go to this thinking you want to take your kids and show your kids, oh, this is the new Gina Carano movie. There's going to be some brutal stuff in there because the story they're dealing with is pretty brutal. And that's a good thing because that's the story they needed to tell. But what do you guys think? If you want to go watch this, you can go to the Daily Wire's website. I think they have code Gina you can use for a discount right now. I'll try to put the Daily Wire site in the description below so you guys can go right there. Above all, and like I told so many people at either the red carpet or the after party, ultimately the reason that you guys are watching me, the reason you guys are watching so many channels like mine is for the truth. Not for us to fluff something up, not for us to overly praise something or whatever. If I thought this movie was bad, I would tell you. Absolutely. Because the only reason you guys are here is for authenticity. This is definitely not a movie for everyone, but if you're someone who thinks you'd be interested in a dark, gritty, character-driven Western, I absolutely think you should try out Terror on the Prairie. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.
Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.